and you're just scared that all the effort you're putting in, the classes you've retaken, all the work, you're just afraid that it won't pan out and that you'll get rejected, which is a very common fear. And there's multiple ways to kind of deal with it. You can let it consume you, or you can figure out how to navigate through it. So I want to share with you 3 key steps that will help you start navigating through it so that you can get into PT school. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the Hey, what is up? How you doing? My name is Joseph Ngugi. I am a physical therapist. I am also a PT school acceptance coach and one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, where for years we've been helping students get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. So if that sounds like you, then you are on the right platform. And if you enjoy this specific training, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this out with your friends, but also binge on as much content on this platform as possible, because it's meant to help you get closer to this dream of becoming a physical therapist. So today I want to talk to those of you who are scared of rejection from physical therapy schools, whether that fear is coming from a past experience of being a past applicant and knowing, hey, in the past I applied, I did not get into schools, and I'm scared that it will happen again. Or maybe your fear is coming from the future, right? Where you have never applied before, or you are currently applying, and you're just scared that all the effort you're putting in, the classes you've retaken, all the work, you're just afraid that it won't pan out and that you'll get rejected, which is a very common fear. And there's multiple ways to kind of deal with it. You can let it consume you, or you can figure out how to navigate through it. So I want to share with you 3 key steps that will help you start navigating through it so that you can get into PT school. And you're not alone, but there have been many other students who have felt exactly how you feel, and they were able to get into school. And so if they could do it, then you can do it too. So let's dive into these. And then if you have any questions, feel free to comment them below or reach out to us afterwards. So here's the first point. The first point is there is only one way to guarantee that you will never become a physical therapist. So if we have this fear of rejection, we have to understand there's only one way that we can guarantee that we will never become this thing, right? Because we fear that, oh man, what if it's these rejections, and what if I hit a dead end? What if I'm never going to be good enough? Well, no. There is only one way you can guarantee that you won't become a PT, and that is quitting. That is literally you pulling the plug. If you have ever heard anyone tell you, yeah, I used to want to be a physical therapist, or I used to want to be whatever career they desired, but it never worked out. But I decided that, I was going to go down a different path, or I hit a dead end, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, they quit, right? Whether that quitting was familial pressure, whether it was just the emotional stress, whether it's just not knowing what the next move is, it gets pretty complicated. But for some reason, they quit, right? So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, am I willing to quit? And if I'm not, then that's already one massive step in the right direction, right? So we just have to understand that, because I think it just gives us the foundation for understanding that the power is actually in your hands, not in anyone else's hands. The power is in your hands to keep moving forward. Number 2, we have to think objective instead of emotions, right? So another way of saying that is don't trust your feelings, right? So a lot of times when we feel like we're going to get rejected or things won't work out as planned, it's usually our feelings that we're trusting. It's usually the emotion of fear, the emotion of anxiety. And the emotion of anxiety is primarily coming from a focus on the worst case scenario. We're spending so much of our energy focusing on the worst possible outcome. That worst possible outcome being, I'm going to get rejected from all the schools despite all the work that I'm putting in. And you focusing on that more leads to more anxiety, and more anxiety leads to more paralysis. You feel like you're helpless, you can't do anything about it. And because you feel like you can't do anything about it, you end up not doing as much as you're capable of. And ultimately you end up kind of getting to the conclusion that you feared you would have, right? Whether that's a rejection letter or whatnot, right? So we have to think objective. And here's what that means. What that means is, number 1, like I said, do not trust what you're feeling. Number 2, I have to understand that this is a clarity and control game. What that means is I need to first of all get crystal clear on where I am at in my pre-PT journey, whether that is academically, whether that is in regards to what my blind spots are or what my weaknesses are. This is where usually having a mentor or a coach or a guide or someone that has been on this path already, that's usually where they become very, very valuable, right? Control being understanding what can I control. A lot of students that end up spiraling and overwhelming themselves or feeling stuck, a lot of the times it's because they are focusing on things they cannot control. What are things that I can't control? Well, I can't control the past. I can't go back in time. So me wasting present energy on a past that I cannot control is pointless, right? And so I have to think objective, right? What are my blind spots? What did other students tactfully do differently in order to get into schools? Like other students that were in the exact same position that I'm in right now. Maybe your position right now is having a low GPA. Maybe that's the reason why you are anxious or stressed or feel like you might get rejected. Ask yourself, okay, what can I control about that? And what did other students do that had lower GPAs? We've had students with GPAs after college as low as a 2.4, and they ultimately got into PT school and ultimately became physical therapists. And so if they could do it, then why does that stop you? We've had students that have felt initially like they were too old. Maybe they were non-traditional students. If that's you, then, well, there's other students out there that have proven that if they can do it, you can do it too. Maybe it's the GRE, right? Maybe whatever it is, we can go down the list. Maybe it's past rejections, like I said before, but at the end of the day, I have to be objective about it. If I'm objective about it, then I will always feel like I can do something about it. And as long as you do that, then you'll always inch closer to your dream of becoming a physical therapist. And number 3 is use perspective, right? So if I am fearing rejection, sometimes I'm so focused in on what's in front of me as opposed to saying, you know what, let me zoom out. If I know that I need to take an extra year to retake classes, well, maybe I don't want to, but 5 years from now, will that matter? 10 years from now, will that matter? 15 years from now, will that matter, right? Use perspective, right? Like if I decide to potentially quit, maybe you feel overwhelmed and you feel like, man, I don't know if this is ever going to work out. Let me seek out a backup plan or a backup option. Well, 20 years from now, will you regret that, right? 5 years from now, will you regret that? Will you feel like you gave up on the thing that gives you fulfillment? And if you start to realize, wait a minute, I have no business trying to pull the plug on the thing that fuels me, on the thing that I want to become, well, that's amazing. But it also means that now we have to double down on step 2, which is being objective, which is gaining clarity, getting direction, finding someone that has been on the same path. Because if you can do that, then now you can actually figure out what your next move is, right? But what you have to do is, first of all, say, I have to decide. I have to decide that this is what I'm going to do. I have to decide that I'm going to be a physical therapy student despite what my challenges are right now. I also have to say I'm going to be intentional about putting myself around other people like myself, other people who have previously been in the exact same situation that I'm in right now, because I will be able to gain inspiration from them and clarity, tactful clarity on what they did differently in order to get to where they are now. And the last thing is I have to lock in. I have to make sure that I'm filtering out anything and everything that is deterring me away from my goal. And if you start doing that, it's game over. I'm telling you right now, if you start doing that, you'll have so much more focus, so much more clarity, and you'll be surprised at what you'll be able to do with the level of intentionality that you will have. And ultimately, that fear of getting rejected will have flipped into multiple acceptance letters and beyond. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully that gave you some belief. Hopefully that gave you some direction. And if you want to know, hey, what's the next best step that I can take, then I would go to www.rejectionproofprept.com. We literally have a 10-minute power training there that literally gives you so much clarity, so much direction. And it's the blueprint that we have used to help thousands of students get into physical therapy school without wasting all this time, energy, stress, and money. And if you want that level of clarity, go to rejectionproofprept.com so that you can become rejection proof. But more importantly, at the end of that training, we give you an opportunity to get on the phone with one of us so we can talk about your current situation, where you're at, where you're stuck, what your next move needs to be so that you can be one step closer to your dream. Hopefully that gave you value. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. We'll talk soon. Keep crushing it.